Hi besties, what's up? My name is Makenzie and welcome to my channel and welcome to me being back in front of my bookshelves. This was a long time coming. I don't think I've filmed in front of my bookshelves since I've moved to this place. And to be fair, it took me a long time to organize my bookshelves and then I had to take half of my books off of them and, you know, put them in storage. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We're here now. I'm happy to be back in front of them. They're so pretty. I love them. I missed them. So today we are wrapping up all the books that I read from January to the end of April, and then we will pick up with hopefully monthly or if not bi-monthly wrap-ups from May onwards. So because of how many books I've read and because I don't own most of them, you would think that I'm gonna pop like the covers and stuff. I'm probably not gonna do that. I'm sorry you guys, that's gonna take me forever. And we have at least 25 books to talk about. And yeah, I don't own most of them, so I apologize for that. I hope you guys don't mind. Let's just get into it. All right, so the first set of books I'm gonna talk about, I'm not synopsizing all. It's part of the Capricorn Cove series by Evie Mitchell, and I am only going to synopsize and talk about the ones that I guess I want to. I will try to give you the ratings for all of them, but I'm gonna assume that I gave all of them pretty much 3 stars except for a couple of them. So I'm gonna go over them. I'm not gonna synopsize all of them. They're all novellas in between 60 and 120 pages. So anyways, first we have Double the D. This was the first one I read. Rated this one 3 stars. So essentially this book follows Drake, Lou, and Dane. I guess I corrected it to 3.5 stars. I didn't feel like there was enough pining, and this book is actually like only 61 pages. So there's only so much pining you can do in 61 pages, I guess, but I did want there to be more pining. I had just come off of reading Trick Shot. I don't remember who that's by right now. Wait, in fact, you know, I think I actually read something by that author. Kayla Gross. Guess we're gonna talk about Trick Shot too, because I guess I reread it. That makes sense. Anyways, I came off of reading Trick Shot by Kayla Gross during December, and I wanted another book essentially that had like a poly relationship. So I was really excited to read this one. Like I said though, there wasn't enough like pining. I don't feel like I necessarily got what I wanted from it. I feel like it should have been just a tad longer. Like 10 pages would have done so much, I feel like. But other than that, I did enjoy it. Next we have The Shake Up, also by Evie Mitchell, and this one, the romance starts from a one-night stand, essentially. Then we have New Year, New You. This one was my favorite one. I think if I were to reread it, it would be 5 stars. I rated it 4 stars on Goodreads because I went back after a little while and actually ended up rating everything because I wasn't going to, but this one follows Emily and Calvin. And at the beginning of the book, we open up the book with Emily waking up from a coma, and essentially we find out that her marriage has been falling apart, but she doesn't remember the past few years. So it's about her and Calvin kind of working through that and her seeing how she can kind of fix it. Like I said, this one was by far my favorite. This is the reason that I kept going on with the series. I was really excited. I believe this is the 5th one. I will say, like, I went from reading 3 to 1 to 5. Besties, you need to read them in order. I usually don't say that about like these type of interconnected standalone series, but you need to read them in order because some of them overlap with each other, and yeah, I think it would just be very beneficial for you guys if you read them all in order if you were going to read the series. I will say I wish these were all on KU. I think it would be a lot easier to recommend them if they were, but you have to pay for all of them. So next we have Muffin Top. I really love this cover. You guys should go look at this cover. It's super cute. But basically we follow our main character in this one, Honey, and it basically starts when she gets in a fender bender and the hot cop from her past shows back up. And I rated this one 3 stars as well. Middle of the road. It was good. This was another one that was a little bit shorter. It was 85 pages. I think the other one that I talked about, New Year, New You, was actually like 112 pages. So that's why I liked that one a little bit more. I felt like I got more bang for my buck, essentially. Then we have another one, The Mrs. Claus. This one was definitely another one of my favorites, another one that I would want to own if I were to buy these books. So in this one, we follow Collins and Nicholas, and they've been married for quite a long time, but essentially it was like a marriage of convenience almost. Even though they were in love prior, it just now seems more transitional than anything. And this book starts off with Collins going to Nicholas and saying that she wants a baby, and no matter how she has to do it, she's gonna get a baby one way or another. And it goes from there. Like I said, I think I liked this a lot more too because there was pining. There was that will they, won't they? Even though this book was relatively short too. I mean, what? This book was 86 pages. So I don't know. I don't know how to tell you guys. Like, the ratings are across the board essentially, but The Mrs. Claus was definitely one of my favorites. Definitely something I would recommend you guys reading in like December or around the holiday season. Because yeah, like I said, it was super good. I really liked it. 4 stars. But this is another one where I think if I reread it, it would be 5 stars. So next we have Double Breasted. This one I was so excited for, and it really let me down. Basically, we follow our main character, Willow Dean, and she essentially gets diagnosed with breast cancer and has a mastectomy. And unfortunately, when she finds out she has cancer, she goes home to her partner and tells her partner that she has cancer, and her partner leaves her. So she ends up moving and becoming like a chicken farmer and stuff. And I really liked this one up until the end of the book. I just don't like how the third act conflict was resolved. The third act conflict seemed toxic, and it seemed like it should have been handled in a different way, personally, is what I don't think that you should have to, if you don't want spoilers, skip like 30 seconds. But I don't think to get your significant other to talk, you should have to seduce them or feel like you need to seduce them. You should sit down and have an adult conversation. I rated this one 3 stars. Looking back on this one, I think it would be like a 2.75 stars. I rated it 3 stars on Goodreads. Yeah, it was fine. Just, it was disappointing. Next we have As You Wish, and this book follows Yasmin and Caleb, and they've been friends for the longest time, and that's basically all I remember from it, to be honest. I also didn't like the third act conflict in this one either. I remember feeling that way, but I don't exactly remember why I didn't like it. But I do think I liked this one more than Double Breasted, so this one was 3 stars. Now we're gonna get into the spicy reviews, so are you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready? Next we have Meat Load, the one that I was the most excited to read. After reading all the rest of the series, this was the one I wanted to read. This one follows the ice queen of the town, and she is not painted in the best light at the beginning of the series, and I was just really intrigued to see how I would feel about her in her book. And unfortunately for her, Hannah got a disservice in this book. I rated it 2 stars. This is one of my first 2 stars in a long time, and it's a bummer because the book was going pretty well for me. So she meets the love interest, Malik. They kind of had a thing for each other in the previous book, and essentially it's trying to do a will they won't they situation. And I don't know, she had some trauma that she had to overcome, and we go from that to like that wasn't even really touched on with Malik, and then we find out that even like, I don't know, I can't say without spoiling it basically, but basically she has troubles being intimate with people. She doesn't like know how to, essentially. It scares her, which is fine. That's not my problem with it. My problem was at the end when I feel like it wasn't even worked through, and they just kind of, you know, like the blink of an eye, and all of a sudden we find out that she has like a sex room, and she's scared that she doesn't know what men want and whatever, and she was over here, like it's almost like she flipped a 180 quickly, and like I said, I didn't like that. I feel like this book should have been a full-length novel. It needed to be. It needed to be a full-length novel. This is probably my most disappointing book of the year. This was supposed to be my favorite book of the series. This was supposed to be 5 stars. I wanted it to be 5 stars. So we go off of that one. And the next one, Resolution Revolution. I don't even care about the characters' names. We aren't even gonna talk about it. I rated it 1 star. I guess I will kind of go over like the general like thing. Basically, we have our 2 main characters. They meet on a climbing excursion, and what really irked me about this book, this is gonna, full spoiler warning, I'm gonna put like a spoiler tag on the bottom until I stop talking about it. But essentially, we follow this couple, and they meet, like I said, on this climbing retreat, and there's an immediate attraction between them, and they're older, which is not my issue with the book. But the fact of the matter is, this guy who is in his 40s has what, 3 to 5 kids, I believe, and his wife and him are divorced, and they aren't even together that long, and somehow, miraculously, there is an accidental pregnancy trope in this, which isn't my issue. The issue is that he already had an accidental pregnancy trope. Like, does this guy not know how to use a condom? Like, that's what's the most infuriating thing. And then, not only that, but to top it off, she tells him that she's pregnant, and he runs away to go get an engagement ring so he can, like, get engaged to her. And I know that everybody moves on in their own time, but I'm sorry, 2 weeks to a month is not long enough for you to decide that not only are you in love with this person, but you're gonna marry them and you're gonna introduce them to your kids. That's not how that works. And you know what? I felt this way before I had my own kid, so it's not the issue. But I feel like it's a very delicate situation, and I need to put that down, sorry. I feel like it's a delicate situation regardless, but like I said, my big problem with it was that he actually even had like younger kids. They weren't older, they were younger, and it's like they liked her right off the bat. I'm sorry. sorry. I just don't feel like that's realistic. And like, I don't know. It went too fast. Like I said, 1 star. I'm pissed. Like, this really tainted the whole series for me. I'm not even gonna lie. It's such a bummer. Next we have A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas, and I loved it. This was the first book off of my physical TBR that I read. And when I say that I ate this book up, I think it took me a while, but it really only took me 3 days within, I think, the week that I was currently reading it. It only took me 3 days within that week to read. I was obsessed with it, and I didn't think I was gonna like it. So, if you don't know, A Court of Silver Flames is the 4th book in the ACOTAR series, the 4th full-length novel in the ACOTAR series, I guess. I don't know. And it follows Feyre's sister, Nesta, after the events of A Court of Frost and Starlight. And we see how she's kind of dealing with the effects of ACA War. And I really, really liked it. Like I said, I was concerned, but I really ended up enjoying it. I'm so glad I read it. I think it's a 5-star book, but I rated it 4.5 for now. I'm in the middle of a reread right now, so I would be surprised if it wasn't 5 stars upon reread. It's just, I was hesitant to give it 5 stars. So I think I just need to reread it, and I think it'll get 5 stars because it made me cry multiple times. I think I was just scared to give something 5 stars, especially after coming off of that 1-star read. I was like, do I even like to read anymore? So there's that one. Super happy I read A Court of Silver Flames. Then we have Lore Olympus Volume 4 by Rachel Smythe. If you don't know, Lore Olympus is a Hades and Persephone comic, and you can read it for free on Webtoon. I really liked the 4th volume. I rated it 4 stars. Like I said, I really liked it, and I was really happy to finally get to it. It was a long time coming, to be honest. I've had it since last year, and I think I've had the 5th one since last year too, so it was about time that I finally got to it. Next, I'm gonna lump these 3 in the same thing because they're also a series or trilogy, and they all follow the same character. But we have Broken Angel, Contemned Angel, and Forsaken Angel by Holly Huntress, or the Broken Angel series by her. And when I say that I literally read all 3 of these books respectively each in one day, I would have read them faster than that, but I had other things to get done, but I was literally obsessed. Okay, my ratings for these ones. I rated the first one 3 stars. It was good. It kept me entertained, obviously. It was like the epitome of a popcorn read. And the second book I rated 4.5 stars. So good. So freaking good. Are you kidding me? That was such a good book. It really was. And then we have the last book, and I rated that one 3 stars on Goodreads. I'm going to reread the series because I feel like I was a little bit too harsh on the 3rd book, because I don't think the 3rd book was bad by any means. How is my camera dying already? I just charged it. Anyways, I liked the 3rd book. I think the problem with the 3rd book for me was it literally felt like middle book syndrome, and it was the last book, and I don't think it was as explosive as I wanted it. If you don't know, this book series follows Andy, and at the beginning of the book we find out that there is a war between angels and demons, and her and her father are kind of on the run, and they are trying to find this angel camp so that they can find solace there. And I really enjoyed it. I actually bought the trilogy signed from Holly on Etsy, and when I say that she is literally the sweetest, she's literally the sweetest human ever. I follow her on TikTok. I love her TikToks. All of her books are on KU. I wanted to immediately read the rest of the books she had out, but I need to pace myself, okay? I'm gonna pace myself on it. But like I said, I really ended up enjoying the series, and she is like one of the most on top of it Etsy shippers and sellers that I've ever had. Like, she was really worried because even though I got like the updated shipping information, it didn't update on like Etsy's website. So she emailed me and she's like, I promise that I sent them out. Or she messaged me on Etsy and she's like, I promise I sent them out. They're on their way to you. There's just something wrong with the tracking number. And I was like, it's okay. I'm getting updates. I know what day it should be here, and so I'll leave you a review then. And yeah, she was so sweet. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm really happy that I have the series. Hopefully I can go back and annotate them, especially the second book. That book, phenomenal, phenomenal. Sorry, that was aggressive. I did not mean to hit my camera. Okay, I'll be right back. I have a feeling this isn't gonna last too long because my camera is freaking toasted and it's plugged in right now, but we'll see. Anyways, yeah, I'm not really too sure, but hopefully the angle didn't change too much. I apologize if it did. Next we have Lore Olympus Volume 5, also by Rachel Smythe. Like I said, Hades and Persephone retelling. I rated it 3 stars. This was easily one of my least favorite volumes, and I can't exactly remember why, unfortunately. I really should have written a review right after I read it, but nonetheless, I'm still excited to continue on with the series. But I think that there was a point in this book that I got kind of confused and I didn't know what was going on, so that could be on me. I do want to reread the 5th one and the 6th one. Spoiler alert, I guess, but I do want to reread those. Maybe reread the whole series, honestly. I think that might be beneficial. Next we have To Be Devoured by Sarah Tatlinger, and this one follows Okay, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I do not remember the main character's name, but essentially this is a horror novella. I rated it 3 stars. I would also like to go back and reread this one because the writing was beautiful and I loved the atmosphere, but I don't think I got it. I think that's like my main issue with it, is I don't think I got it. So I will go back and reread this one eventually. I think I'd like to reread it in October, maybe get myself my own copy so I can like read it physically, because for some reason I do also kind of feel like reading it on my Kindle affected it. I don't know if that makes sense, and I also think that it's one that you kind of have to read in quick succession. I did not do that. I think I read it over a few days. I don't think you can do that with this book. But we basically follow our main character, and she becomes infatuated with the idea of eating raw animal meat, like, and not just raw, like dead on the side of the road or killing it herself like vultures do. So she kind of gets a taste for that, and we see her kind of spiral, essentially, is what she's doing. She's having a mental breakdown seemingly, and wow, like I said, I loved the writing, I liked the plot, I liked the characters, I really loved the atmosphere, but I don't think that it was the right time for me to read this book. I think it was right book, wrong time, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I said, I probably will get a copy for myself around September, October and reread it. I think that'd be a good idea because I don't think 3 stars is a fair rating for it. I just think it was quite literally just me. Next, we have Betting on You by Lynn Painter. Oh my gosh, and I'm so happy. I loved this book. I rated it 4.5 stars. It is so good. And I kind of wasn't expecting it from how people talk about it, but essentially we follow our main characters, Bailey and Charlie, and they meet on a plane ride going to their other parents' house. Both of them have divorced parents, and both of their parents live in different respective states, if that makes any sense. And they really get off on the wrong foot. In fact, Charlie got off on the wrong foot with me. I did not like him, but I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give it until page 50. And then I read the whole freaking thing minus 10 pages or 20 pages maybe in one day. And I'm rereading it and annotating it as we speak. So I guess we can see how much I love book. I'm so happy that I liked it though, because I was really concerned that I was gonna fall in the camp of everybody who doesn't like it. I will say, as much as I want to rate it 5 stars, the first part of the book with Charlie acting the way he was, I don't think I could. And then there was also some cringy like Taylor Swift references, like about Karma being a cat, or maybe Karma is a girl in glasses, and those are literal quotes from the book. It's like, thought Karma was a cat, but maybe Karma is a girl in glasses or something like that. And I'm like, cringe. But other than that, it was good, and I really enjoyed it because of the way Charlie acted at the beginning of the book, and because of those 2 stupid references. I don't think I could ever give it 5 stars. It was just a little too much for me, if I'm being honest. Next, we have Sour Candy by Kaylin Patrick Burke, and this book follows our main character Phil. And one day Phil goes to the grocery store to buy candy for his girlfriend. They decided to have a movie day in, and she really wanted some snacks. And when he walks into the candy aisle, there is this kid having a full-on meltdown, and his guardian doesn't seem to really give a crap. And Phil ends up interacting with this child, and his life is completely thrown off kilter because of that. I rated this one 5 stars. I really freaking enjoyed it. I thought it was super good. The writing was pretty simple, I'm not gonna lie, but other than that, like, it was so interesting and it kept me on my toes, and it was like a fever dream, to be honest. It was really, really good. I'm really glad that I read it when I did, because yeah, I don't even know how I heard about it, but I'm glad I read it. All right, the next book I read was a reread, and it was Trickshaw, and I reread it to annotate it, and that is by Kayla Gross. So we start off the book in an airport while people are waiting to find out if their flights have been canceled so that they can go home for Christmas. It is Christmas Eve, and it starts off in our main character Leo's POV, and he meets Riley. She looks like Christmas has thrown a ball over her. She is frazzled, and he buys her a drink, and she unfortunately mistakes him for his twin brother Luke, or Lucas, whatever his name is, and they start talking, and she ends up going home with him and finding out that he kind of like has a live-in friend with benefits, essentially, named Jace. And the book kind of goes from there. I will say, I'm not a fan that he did not correct her on his identity as soon as they decided to go home. And I get that he thought that it was going to be a one-night thing, but as soon as he realized that he was catching feelings, he should have whipped that around and told her right off the bat, like, hey, I made a mistake. But instead, that is, you know, not what happens. I would never condone lying to your partner, period, but especially about your identity, because it seems like kind of a power imbalance. Obviously, she didn't sleep with him and Jace because she thought that he was his brother, or because, yeah, essentially. So because of that, it can only ever be 4 stars. I really like it though. I love the relationship that all 3 of them have at the end of the book. I will say there were a couple parts at the end of the book that kind of cringed me out, which I didn't remember the first time I read it, but like I said, I'm really glad that I read it. It was fun. This one is on KU as well, so if you're looking for a fun, easy time, I would recommend that one because it was not long at all. Let me see. I think it was like 196 pages. It took me like no time to read. Next, we have Puck Shy, also by Kayla Gross. This book follows Lucas, and he is kind of in a drought with hockey. He is, like I said, a famous hockey player, and basically one of his teammates decides he needs to get laid, so he takes him to a club, and that's where he meets Stevie, the other main character and the love interest in this book. And I will say, call me a prude, if I were to ever reread this book, I don't think I would reread the first part of it or the last part, but I really enjoyed the middle of it. I rated this book 3 stars. I don't think I'd ever buy it for my shelves, but like honestly though, I'm gonna show you this cover because it's beautiful and it kind of makes me want to buy it. And considering that it was only a little over 200 pages, I think that Kayla did really good with the will they won't they, and I really ended up enjoying it. I will say I didn't like the third act conflict. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I get having space and wanting to have space to figure out your feelings, but to make someone leave the country, I mean not the country, the state, I don't know how I feel about Lucas, to be honest. Next we have These Deathless Bones by Cassandra Kaw, and this one is literally the shortest book that I've ever read, the shortest novella I've ever read. It's like 19 pages, but basically we follow this evil mom and the stepson, and that's really all I'm gonna say. I really liked it. I think I actually gave this one, what, 4 stars? You know what, actually I didn't rate it because it was really short. But if I were to rate it, I think I would rate it 4 stars. I don't think I can give something that's 19 pages 5 stars, I'm not gonna lie. But like I said, I really ended up enjoying it and I'm glad that I read it. This is also the author of These Blackened Teeth, which I also really want to read, but I found this one on Everand and I decided to read it. It was short and it was good. I don't know that I would necessarily call it horror. It didn't really scare me, but I could see how it would scare other people. Next we have Rosenblood by Kichiro Ijizu. I hope I'm saying their name right. This is the first book in the Rosenblood manga series, and I believe I rated this one 3 stars. Oh, no, I rated it 2 stars. Oh my gosh, I'm on a roll. But that makes sense to me. So basically we follow this girl and she gets in an accident in her carriage and she goes up to this creepy manor and everybody's kind of acting weird and off and she doesn't understand why. And I understand why this manga was convoluted because the main character didn't know what was going on. I get that. I didn't think it worked. Obviously my opinion is completely subjective, but I just don't feel that it worked in this book's favor for it to be that convoluted. And then when the main character finally found out what was going on, I don't know how I feel about her reaction. Next, I read the 6 novellas in the Creature feature film that is by a bunch of different authors that you can read on KU or listen to for free. So first one is Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix. I believe I rated this one 3 stars. I feel like I feel dumb saying this. Okay, I'm aware that what I'm about to say is the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life, but this book stopped right when it was getting super good and super interesting. Hello? Like, this needs to be a full-length novel yesterday. Next we have The Pram by Joe Hill. I rated this one 3 stars, but I have since learned that I hate Joe Hill and screw him, and I hope all your books get 3 stars from now on because you hate when people give you 3 stars. Basically, for a quick rundown of what I'm talking about, basically there was this author on, it was actually Threads. I think I said it was on Twitter the other day, but it was on Threads. And he said, basically, if you've read and enjoyed my book, please leave a rating on Amazon and Goodreads. It really helps boost my numbers. And Joe Hill basically said that the only ratings worth giving were 5 stars. And that 3 stars basically means that the book isn't good enough to read. So screw him. This is the last time I'm ever going to talk about him on my channel. I don't even think I was going to include him in this wrap up, but I will. Yeah, just screw him and screw white old rich men who think that they can bully people into giving their books 5 stars. Like, reading and rating books is subjective, and you should be grateful that people are even reading your books, to be honest. But basically, yeah, I'm not going to read any more of his stuff. Never going to talk about him again on my channel. I'm kind of irritated, to be honest. Like, I hate when authors get on their soapbox and say, if you're going to rate books anything lower than, if you're going to rate books 3 stars or lower, then it's not even worth rating. Okay, that means that you don't like constructive criticism, and you are arguably writing one of the most polarizing genres. I'm sorry, but horror is, like, I feel like it's the most polarizing because the main objective of a horror is to get you to feel scared, and if you don't feel scared, you aren't gonna get a good rating. You don't have good twists and you don't have a good scare at the end of it, you aren't gonna get a high rating, and that's that on that. So next we have Best of Luck by Jason Mott. I think I rated this one. You know, I did not rate this one. I didn't know what to rate it, but basically it follows this man and he is having a string of bad luck, and he comes to his neighbor's house and he is off his rocker and he is blaming his neighbor for this whole thing, saying, you are sucking all the good luck out of me. And it goes from there. I really liked it. I wouldn't have cared if it was longer, but I still, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I think I would rate this one 3.5 stars. It was really good, and it makes me want to read more from Jason Mott in the future. So I'm just gonna rectify the fact that I haven't rated it, and I'm also gonna rate this one 3 stars. Oops, my bad. Anyways, next we have Big Bad by Chandler Baker, and oh my gosh, I love this one. I rated this one 5 stars. Probably like a 4.75 if I'm being super picky, but essentially this book follows this guy, and there are a bunch of werewolves around his house, and this is like a werewolf horror story, and I really liked the way that the werewolves were done in this book. And that's really like all I can say about it, I feel like. Then we have It Waits in the Woods, which was also super good. It was by Josh Mallerman, and I rated this one 4 stars. Probably like honestly a 4.5 stars. We follow our main character and her sister with missing over this bridge, but for some reason you can only find the bridge at certain times, and she's not even sure that this bridge actually exists. So she goes back to find the bridge, and it goes from there. Oh my gosh, this book was so freaking good. So glad I read it. I'm so excited to read other stuff from Josh Mallerman. Same as Chandler Baker. Very excited to read more from them in the future. And then the last one is In Bloom by Paul Tremblay. And in this one, we follow our main character who's doing an interview with this guy who basically one day saw something coming out of the marsh, and it infected a bunch of people, and they're trying to figure out what it was and if he really saw it. And this one was pretty good too. Again, 3 stars, but I did like it. Next we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I also rated this one 3 stars. If you don't know, Cinder follows our main character, Cinder, in a futuristic New Beijing world, and she is cyborg, and being a cyborg is looked down upon in this world, and her world kind of gets flipped upside down one day while she's working at the market, and the prince comes to her with a very important piece of equipment that he needs fixed because she's one of the best mechanics in the kingdom. I really liked it. I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. The only thing I will say is it was predictable, and that's not the fault of the book. I think it's just the age range and when it was written, to be honest, because I think this is a YA book through and through. So like I said, I really liked it enough to continue on with the series. And I also loved the ending. Oh my gosh, that ending was so good. Pleasantly surprised by that. And then the last 2 I read were like little short story graphic novels by Tilly Walden. Read A City Inside, and I love this part. And I'm not rating these books, only simply because these ones I feel like were a little bit too short to rate, and I don't remember anything about. And I literally like read them a month ago, and I don't feel like I can really rate them. I wanted to give Tilly Walden a try, and those ones were on like either Kindle Unlimited or Comicology Unlimited, so I'm glad I gave those a try. I'm definitely gonna try one of her longer ones in the future, but I just don't know. Those were all the books I read from January to the end of March. I really enjoyed a lot of them actually, and it's been a good reading year so far. Overall, I am very happy with the reading I've done this year, and I think I've read some really good books. Definitely some that I'm very pleasantly surprised by, if I'm being honest. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want to see my face again. And if you want to be notified, I would honestly recommend following me on Instagram. But if you don't have an Instagram, hit the bell, and hopefully it works. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite book that you read from January to March was. Even though I didn't rate A Court of Silver Flames 5 stars, and I did with Sour Candy, I would still say that A Court of Silver Flames is my favorite full-length novel that I've read this year, and I would recommend it to anybody who wants to read it. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all in my next video. Bye everyone!
When you're not here, the sun don't shine. When you're not near, I don't feel like I do anymore.